So often, books are made into movies. And that's not a new thing. I mean, ideas have to come from somewhere. But when a person reads a movie or reads a book that turns into a movie, I often get comments about how the book was better or how they didn't do certain things in the book or whatever the case may be. I'm going to talk about 3 books that I actually enjoyed the movie more. Now, that is a weird take because a lot of people say they enjoy the book more. Here's 3 situations where I actually don't think that's true. The first book that I'm going to talk about is Coraline. Now, in fairness, I read this book after I saw the movie. So maybe that's partly it, but this is what I think. The movie does a lot better at immersing you in an experience. I think that the visuals of the movie are just spectacular, and it was hard for me to get that same experience from the book. So that's what I'm going to say for that. The plot hit differently in the movie. I found that the suspense of the movie was a lot better than the suspense in the book. I loved the film. Absolutely. And I don't hear a lot of people say that they didn't like the film. I'm sure there are people that didn't like the film. And I'm sure there's people that didn't like the book. I'm sure there's people that don't like both. But in this situation, I will watch the movie again and many times over. I will not read that book again. It didn't do anything for me. The second book I'm going to talk about, again, this was a situation where I watched the movie first before I read the book, and that is The Exorcist. Now, The Exorcist is a 1971 book by, let me look at my notes, William Peter Blatty. Blatty. And published by Harper and Row. Now, one thing that movies, I think, do a lot better than books as far as horror is concerned is if an event is horrific, a movie can just show it in a really quick succession. You might be confused what you're looking at, but you're still experiencing that thing very quickly. Now, in a book, I find that a lot of words and pages have to kind of set up and describe the situation. And at least I am, able to kind of process things a lot slower. And therefore, the punch of the situation is less. So I think that movies have an advantage that way. So The Exorcist was able to show a lot of horrific imagery very quickly to the audience, whereas the book, it was a slower digestion of those kind of elements. So as much as I think the book was written well, I didn't have the fun that I had with the movie. Now, the Exorcist movie I saw, I want to say before I was 10. I want to say I got into horror pretty early in life, and I saw a lot of things that I, quite frankly, was not ready to watch. And that was one of them. And I've seen The Exorcist so many times at this point, but I think I will watch it again. I don't think that I will read The Exorcist again. The book was fine. In fact, if you haven't read the book, I recommend the book. But I just didn't get the same kind of, like, the humor of The Exorcist, which is an interesting part for The Exorcist. I didn't find that in the book at all. I found the book quite a bit drier. I don't have a lot of issues with the book, actually, but just the way that they interpreted it into the movie, I find the movie has a little bit more comic elements to it. The last book that I'm going to talk about that I actually enjoyed the movie more is The Shawshank Redemption, and I think it's a little bit different than the title of the book. Let me look at my notes here. So Stephen King wrote the book, and the book title was called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. Now that was written in, let me look at my notes again, 1982. It's just a small book. If I remember correctly, it's almost like a one-sitter. You could probably pick up that book and get that done in a few hours. I mean, you're not looking at a long reading experience. But I think the movie's almost perfect. And I got just a much more immersive experience, a lot more rich experience from the movie than I did from the book. Yeah, I remember reading it and being so excited to read that book. Again, I think all three of these have that in common, where I saw the movie before reading the book. And maybe that's the scenario then of why I would like the movies more. Maybe. I'll think about that. What do you think about that? Do you think the medium that you first get exposed to a story is the medium that you're going to be drawn to? That's interesting. I'll need to think about that. But yes, Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, again, not a bad book. I do recommend that book. But I don't think that I'll read it again. I will definitely watch the movie again. That is, like I was saying before, almost the perfect movie for me. That is, I haven't seen anything quite like that again, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that film being just this gem that shows up. So let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any books that the translation between book and movie you think was kind of off and you actually like the movie more. Also, let me know if you think that I'm full of it and that the books are better and you disagree with my take. So let me know in the comments. Whatever day you're finding yourself in, I hope you're having the best time, and I will talk to you later.